I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is the characters we play. What are the roles, not just the roles, but the character that we play in life? And maybe there are more than one character that we actually engage in the course of our lives or even in a given moment. So I think it could be a fun conversation. I think it will be. And before we get started, let's take a couple minutes to get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, and the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Rosalind. Good morning. It's great to have you here with us and great to have everyone else who's joining us. We're talking about the characters we play. And this came from just such a wonderful conversation with a client yesterday where they had a meditation experience where they were in this empty room, and then it turned out to be a room filled with mirrors with all different reflections of themselves all the way around. And what they came to understand is that spoiler alert, what they came to understand is that they were none of those reflections. And at one point, there was this light, and they were able to follow the light, and the light was their pathway out of this hall of mirrors or room filled with mirrors that they had kept bumping into. So very, very interesting representation. And I was moved by it. And that's why we're having this conversation this morning. So the characters we play. So I wonder if you were to stand back from your life, to just sort of take a bird's eye view, to observe yourself in your life and notice, like imagine that who you are in life is this character. You're playing a character. And some of us are more flamboyant characters than others, or more expressed or less expressed, et cetera, et cetera. But what kind of character, like how would you define that character as you're observing them? How would you define them? How would you characterize that character? So I think it's an interesting exercise because it allows us to get perspective on on some of the roles we play, some of the unconscious or invisible dynamics of our lives that are unexamined until we can just sort of take a bird's eye view. So, for instance, and certainly we have different facets of our character that we're playing, and we can recognize how those facets change in different circumstances. Like, how does that character express themselves in the office, for example? Or and then how does that character express themselves in the context of family and in the context of solitary time? And what what are the threads that connect those different contexts, and what that character is bringing into those different contexts, as if we were doing a character study for a play or a film or a book. And it occurs to me that there's a wealth of insight. Gia, welcome. Oh, it's good to have you back, honey. We've missed you. Um, so we're talking about the characters we play. And I was just reflecting that I think there's a wealth of insight available to us as we look at this character like disassociated from it as ourselves. We don't really get to have a really good perspective on ourselves from the inside out. But this is sort of an exercise to be able to look at the outside in, observing behaviors, not judging, like this is a beloved character. And we get to be maybe having greater insight into the motivations of this character and how the different influences of that character's life are impacting their interactions in different areas. And then it occurs to me how fun it could be to look at embellishing that character, bringing it to the next level. Like, what would that look like? And there are probably a multitude of directions that you, as the director or the author, could go in to develop that character more in a richer manner. So I think it will be a fun thing to play with. In fact, I'm going to do that with my coaching cohort this afternoon, and I think it'll be a really interesting exploration, to be able to make a character profile. And I think as a result of that, we'll be able to recognize some of the um, all characters have to have a flaw, right? Whatever that flaw is, and often that flaw is their strength. So we get to look at that character from a more objective vantage point, and I think that it's a way to gain insight into some of our mechanisms that might expose things that can then release. So Gia says, I'm missing this time with you, Mira, Rubin, and Rosalind. Good vibes. I thank COVID each day to bringing me to know someone like you and learn so much. It helped me enormously in my healing journey. So, Gia, I had no idea that you reached us through COVID. Like that was when well, actually I started doing this at the beginning of COVID when we were in lockdown to create more connections. So I'm hoping it wasn't that you were sick from COVID, but that your transformational journey is the healing journey that you're talking about. So Rosalind says the storyteller could either be coming from a place of looking for their tribe or desires for love, creating love, visioning, being the sage or peacemaker. Absolutely. Absolutely. So how fun is it? Like it gives us an opportunity to see ourselves in a more three-dimensional way, because when we're inhabiting ourselves, when we're just living our lives, we don't get to recognize all these nuances and riches of variety and dimensionality that is part of the characters we play. And the thing is, as we're observing this, what we get to recognize is just the very fact that we're able to observe it means that we are not that character, which is kind of a cool thing. So, who are we? We are that light. We are that light that kind of shatters all those mirrors and um, is all of it and none of it. And so the intention out of that exercise to be standing back and doing a character analysis here is to allow us the freedom to maybe modify the way that character shows up, to find that character's strengths and maybe be able to push them, move them, encourage them in that direction, to write the script in such a way that those different aspects of themselves gain the opportunity for expression. So Gia says, no, I didn't face COVID at all, but I joined you for my mental and emotional health. Well, that's beautiful, Gia. Thank you. And I'm so glad that you didn't have to suffer through COVID directly. So that's great. And it's a privilege having you be part of our crew for sure. So I'm wondering if you all look at yourselves, from this place of imagining that this is all a big story, that this is just a play, then what do you notice about the character or characters that you play in life that maybe you weren't aware of around yourself? What, like, looking, what's this character's primary motivation? What's their wound? What's their triumph? I think it's kind of an interesting way to see oneself. And it reminds me, there was a movie ages and ages and ages ago, and I believe it was called Places in the Heart. Sally Field was in it. And I don't remember it very vividly, other than the last scene, but it took place in the South, and there was rampant racism and racial violence. There were lynchings and all kinds of brutality and hatreds and conflict between people. And what was awesome was that at the end of the film, all the people that were alive and dead were in church together celebrating. And it was kind of like a cast party, is the way that I saw it and see it, especially in this context. So a cast party for this wonderful drama that played out in all these people's lives. They got to play this drama together, and they were all part of this greater cast. for the drama that they lived, and they all played their roles to make this incredible drama. And so when we look at life as a play or a story that we're playing out, roles that we're playing, it it can give us a much greater appreciation for the beauty, for the drama, for even for the villains and the heroes and the sheroes and the victims, and it allows us to recognize that all these different factors are essential to a rich and enriching story. And I often I often feel that way about life, that it's just a drama that we're we're playing, that we're playing out these stories, and it's kind of an act of creative expression in its way. So I find it a an interesting and kind of inspiring way to look at life. It allows us to not be as attached to, it allows us to be able to see the play, the passion play, as opposed to just being in it. And we can bounce back and forth between those perspectives where we allow ourselves to know that on some level it's not real. It's not who we really are. It's not the nature of truth, so to speak, that it's a play, that we are that light, that we are not these individual time bound expressions, that is not the entirety of our being, that's not really who we are in our essence. And as we allow ourselves to recognize that it's a role, that we're playing characters, then we also gain access to the capacity, potentially, or the capability, or the potential to rewrite the script, to step out of the constraints of that character. We can give that character an epiphany and allow them to change the course of the whole drama by taking a different direction, by cultivating a different perspective. So Rosalind says, I did a meditation from G.P. Walsh that took you to a place where you died, floating, formless, and no time bound. That's a beautiful thing. That is like, so here's the thing. Our consciousness is way bigger than this physicalness. The physicalness is just an expression in this context. It's not the totality of our being. It's not even the essence of our being. It's just a temporary, temporal, physical, sensual expression of our being. And we have all these ideas and thoughts and beliefs and constraints that we lay over the light to get into a really rich game of let's pretend. And we've all heard about actors who do method acting, right? Where they immerse themselves completely in the character so that they can bring a dimension of authenticity to the portrayal of that character. What if that's what we're doing? What if that's what we're doing? What if that's what our lives are, where we are just deeply, deeply, deeply immersed in method acting to play out this scenario of birth to death in this particular incarnation, in this particular form, in this particular time, in this particular context, and to recognize that that's what we're doing, that there's a me or an I or a consciousness or a beingness or an essence, whatever you want to call it, that is playing through this role. And what if those roles, rather than being assigned roles, are chosen roles? Just trying it on. And what if we're writing the story as we're living it? So we could take it in, or let's say, and I think this isn't actually too far from the way things might be, that we're creating a story with multiple endings, and we can choose any one of those infinite paths to be expressing our story, that we can build it out in any which way, in any direction, and develop it to make any kind of twist and turn that we choose. That it's really just a story that we're writing, that we're living, that we're experiencing, that we're expressing. And the more we allow ourselves to step beyond the foundational script and redefine the character on the fly, rewrite the story. It's going off on this trajectory. Maybe we can do something that makes it turn in another direction. Why not? And Rosalind, the perspective of floating formless beyond time and space, allows us to say, well, wait a second, there's still this consciousness, there's still this awareness that isn't identified with this character, this role that I'm playing. And with that consciousness, I can write it any way I want. I can make it be whatever I want. That it's a play and we get to play with it. It's possible that we can do that. And maybe this bird's eye view kind of perspective of the character or the role that we're playing allows us to see where some pretty interesting plot twists and turns might be. And yeah. So that's it for this morning. I invite you to explore that, how you would, if you were writing this character into a play or a movie or a book or whatever, what would character development look like for that character, and where might you take it? There could be like a break and then this person just takes on a whole different personality. There could be an epiphany where the foundational wound is healed. Just play with it. So That's it for this morning. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network and Enlightened World Living. And I also go live on my own Facebook page, and that for my company, Core Connection. Gia says, "Who am I? Help me so much in my healing journey and how I can see my own self from a little distance." It's awesome. I love it. I love it. And I so love being able to have the privilege of interacting with you and discovering new dimensions of being together. So until next time, so much love to you.